Any other discussion, members? Representative Ward,
Speaker.
please proceed.
No vote, written comments, and I'd like to add some remarks to skim over the 10 reasons why this project does not deserve one more public dollar. May I proceed?
Please proceed.
Reason number one. We have already spent too much time, money, and effort on this project, Mr. Speaker. We have, as my members have said, we have divided our community. We've pitted people against each other. City councils against legislature, counties against the state. It's not on time, it's not on budget. Our economy has structurally suffered from that. Homelessness has been generated. The giant sucking sound of the $2 billion that we've set aside is a macroeconomic concern that I have. But I said I was going to skim over the 10 reasons. Reason number two, the rail project has cost the mayor and the city and all of us in elected office our credibility. Mr. Speaker, when we leave today, do you think people are going to believe what we passed is the way it's going to turn out? I think the way that this has come about, our credibility is at a long low. Reason number three, and this has been often spoken for years, decades, but we don't seem to do too much about it. The GT tax that is here extended until 2030 is regressive. It hurts the poor, it hurts the poor, and it hurts the poor. That is a reality of the structure of this bill. Fourthly, Mr. Speaker, raising the TAT threatens Hawaii's economy and hurting an industry which is the golden goose that lays the egg. We may think that because we've got 8 million tourists as of last year and it's growing this year, we're up 9.6% in terms of money, that this is going to go on forever and ever. Some people have mentioned the volatility of the TAT. It's true. The most volatile industry in the world is the visit industry. Tourism is very volatile. One day they're here, and the next day they're gone. Case in point has been Bali. Bali was at 6 million. They had a Bali bombing and they were gone. You never know what's going on. And I'm not saying anything about North Korea, but we are, as Guam and others, still in a position where we could have our tourist industry jeopardized. Number five, rail won't solve our congestion problem. Mr. Speaker, it's rather sad that the environmental assessment statement or the environmental impact statement said that traffic congestion will be worse in the future with the rail than what it is today. According to the forecast, traffic will increase 23% if we do not build the rail and 21.3% if we do build the rail. You see any difference? It's like 1.7% is going to be the difference in terms of traffic congestion. And my good friend from Eva Beach, unfortunately, I know everybody's going for their constituents. But because of that, I think there's going to be grave disappointment in terms of how this is going to relieve the traffic. Number six, Mr. Speaker, the city has not sufficiently explored utilizing public-private partnerships. I already covered that in my floor amendment to get private sector money skin into the game. Number seven, Mr. Speaker, stopping additional funding is the only way we can reevaluate how to finish the project and the existing budget. We've barely had the voters approve this in 2008. Right now, if you probably took a vote by the public, not by elected officials, it may probably, it's probably going to fail, given what we've gone through. The difficulty is every time the budget changes, we are the automatic enablers that we are always able to come back. We are always able to accept an increase, a budget change, a reorder. And I've addressed that through the rail cap, Mr. Speaker, and I will not go into any more detail. Reason number eight, that I will not vote for another dollar of public money. I quoted John Henry Felix as to why a forensic audit is needed, and the forensic audit is the one that we have rejected, so I won't go into any more detail about why that word should be included in this bill. Number nine, operating and maintenance costs are not accounted for yet. Mr. Speaker, that's really a serious omission. If we don't know how we're going to operate it and maintain it, I mean, it's almost irresponsible. And I know we asked the mayor on Wednesday, how are we going to do it? We got some answers about raising fees and stuff. But remember, he also said there's probably a $600 to $900 million puka in this particular budget. Mr. Speaker,
Representative, your time is up.
all these point to the my time is up.
Mr. Speaker, even though he's attacking me, I'll yield my time.
Thank you.
Kudos
Thank
to
you.
the good member from Eva, who I said his constituents will be disappointed. But the point is, Mr. Speaker, when you got a 600 to a 900 million, even if you cut that in thirds, we got a budget deficit that everybody says, well, they've come for the last time. Well, we said that how many years ago? They came for the last time to ask for an increase. The sense is they're going to be coming back. And someone earlier said on the floor, this is going to be known as a state project, not the city and county project. And that's going to put the ball in our court. But, Mr. Speaker, number 10. Lastly, and I would think most importantly, I don't know if Councilman White is still here, but my last reason for not voting is that let's pick up the money left on the TAT table before increasing taxes on our hotels, particularly on our residents on the neighbor islands. County Council Chair Mike White, who served in this body, made us feel that we've forgotten something on the table, i.e. the TAT tax that is being kept by the Airbnbs, and now most specifically, the Expedia and the Travelocity. It goes something like this, Mr. Speaker. A mainland tourist books online a room for $266 a day. Expedia charges 4% GT tax, or about $12. Expedia also charges $9.25 TAT tax, or about $25. The total that the tourist puts with their Express or whatever card they're using on the website, they pay $303 per day. What happens after that is that Expedia sends 75% of this to the hotel. 25% they keep. What happens after that happens? The hotel then sends its GET and its TAT of its 75% to DOTAX. But here's the hooker right now. This is the big issue, which I really hope the Finance Committee will pick up and run with later on in the session 2018. The hotel sends its GET and its tax, but Expedia sends its GET tax, but keeps, Mr. Speaker, it keeps its TAT tax, which it already charged to the customer. So I'm hoping, Mr. Speaker, that reason number 10, if we're going to go increase the TAT tax, but yet we're going to allow Expedia and Travelocity and those other big wholesalers, or whatever the name of these tourist companies are, to keep the TAT, I don't think we're doing our job. I don't think we're mining the store. And I know there's some legislation that Councilman White is working on. There's some hopeful discussions that we will have after this. But Mr. Speaker, if it's $60 to $80 million per year, this is a way of freeing up the burden on our taxpayers. In closing, Mr. Speaker, unfortunately, we have a number of things that are going to be unresolved by this bill, one of which is, and Mr. Speaker, I refer to 9/11 when I was in Washington, D.C. when it took place. It was encouraging that there was a Rudy Giuliani in terms of the recovery for what was going on. I don't see a point person to make sure that this rail is on time or to make sure this rail is on budget. Mr. Speaker, there's got to be some accountability, because right now all we've had is a bouncing ball of responsibility. And one of the reasons why we're here today is because we've never been able to pinpoint, except now for an audit that we're asking for, to be able to find out where we're going. For those reasons, Mr. Speaker, the 10 reasons, and the most important of which is the last one, I vote no on this measure. Thank you.
Thank you, Member.